Audio Jungle.
Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Now let's have a jam-packed show full of news and results happening around Southern California. Starting with Los Angeles Lakers. They are one win away from the NBA Finals, but as Coach Frank Vogel would say, the next one is going to be the toughest. And the Angels, they still have a chance to make the postseason, but it's a very, very minuscule chance. Can they do it? What do they need to do? They join the Padres and the Dodgers in the postseason. As we all know, the Sparks have been eliminated. Sad, sad season. The Chargers, they came oh so close to knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, they fell just short. But Justin Herbert was really good. And the Rams are 2-0 as they go into a big-time showdown with the Buffalo Bills. Can the Rams go to 3-0? Or will they be cooled off in the cold Buffalo Stadium? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IS Sports, your destination for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Happy Friday to everybody. I'm glad you are all here to join me on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And the weekend is finally here. And before we get into all the pro sports, we have some big news for everybody that happened yesterday. Yes, I had to do that. Yes, we have some big-time news as it comes from the Pac-12. The Pac-12, you say? Yes, the Pac-12 had some big news in terms of football. So, as of yesterday, the Pac-12's presidents and counselors and committees and officers and everyone else and whatnot all agreed to a 7-game conference-only football schedule. I can't believe it. Pac-12 football is finally going to happen. It's going to happen in early November, but we have Pac-12 football, everybody. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. Pac-12 is back when it comes to football. It's quite an amazing sight to see. So that means USC and UCLA will be getting back to playing some football on the gridiron. And I could not be happier. And hopefully we will get to see USC dominate or UCLA, because if so, then cool. But if not, then it is whatever. So we'll see how it goes. Both teams are looking to build off their big season. USC had themselves a solid year last year, which saw them go bowling last year, which they lost to Iowa, which was sad. And then UCLA is still trying to figure things out with Chip Kelly. But they have potential. They have the potential to possibly win some games this year. I think Chip Kelly's doing a solid job, so we'll have to see. But I think USC has the best chance with Kedon Slovis. So, honestly, I'm very excited to see what the Pac-12 has in store for us, and I think it's going to be a great time. Sure, it's only 7 games, and sure, it might get tougher to make the college football playoff for any of those Pac-12 teams like Oregon or heck even SC. But I think we're at least getting some football, so we'll see. And also, there will be a Pac-12 tournament at the end of the regular season, at the end of conference play. It's still going to be the same thing. It's going to be held at a neutral site, and it's going to be, neutral site if you're not the corresponding home team. But it is going to be at the end of the season. It's going to be in December, and it'll basically be the Pac-12 conference champion. So it's going to be really cool. Yes, very cool indeed. So I'm excited for some USC and UCLA action. The schedules haven't been released yet, but I can't wait to see what those two teams have to offer. And to me, I think USC has more upside just because they do return that very talented player in Caden Slovis. And we'll see if Clay Helton can keep his job for another year. I mean, it's going to be tough for him to not lose his job just because I don't see USC losing too many games. I mean, there might be a few teams that could challenge them, but not a whole lot. It all depends on what the schedule looks like. So we'll see how it goes for USC and Clay Helton. Because I think, to me, if Clay Helton, if there's no way I could see USC falling under 500. Like if let's say USC does fall under 500 and they don't make any bowl games, then that would mean that they have to fire Clay Helton. Like, I'm a USC guy, so I'm a little biased, but honestly, I think that this is the year where Clay Helton has to make or break it when it comes to their season. So, yeah. So that's pretty much the brief news on the Pac-12. They will have a football season, and I am excited. So we'll see how it goes. So onward to some baseball action. Yes, I'm going to jump to baseball. So Dodgers and Padres, quick and dirty, have pretty much punched their ticket to the playoffs. And the Dodgers have clinched home field advantage. So that's cool and all. But what about the Angels? The Angels are still alive for a playoff spot. However, they have the most loftiest ambition of getting a playoff spot, and they have to jump through so many hoops because every spot in the American League has been occupied. There's no wild card spots they can clinch. They have to get second in the AL West, otherwise they don't make the playoffs. And currently, right now, the Houston Astros are 3 games up on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, so it's going to be really tough. And how many games do the Angels have, dare you ask? 3. And how many games do the Astros have? 3. So in other words, the Angels need to run the table while the Astros need to lose out in order for the Angels to get the final playoff spot, which it would be finishing second in the AL West. The Astros have it really easy on them because their next 3 games are at the Texas Rangers. And yesterday, the Astros blasted the Texas Rangers by a big score of 12-4. It was pretty much an onslaught for the Astros. They pretty much took their anger out on their Texas brethren, and yeah, I just don't see the Angels making the playoffs. Like, if they somehow make the playoffs, then bully for them, but they're just not gonna, because you're asking a lot for the Angels, and I haven't even told you all who the Angels play. So the Angels play the Los Angeles Dodgers at the Chavez Ravine. So the Angels have such a lofty road to getting that final playoff spot. If they do, then cool, but I just don't see it happening, because they're just not that good of a team. And big shout to Mr. Daryl Kinsey Jr. in the chat room saying, yo, yo, yo. Hey, what's up, Daryl? Thanks for tuning in. Great show yesterday with The Extra Mile. You can check out The Extra Mile on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So back to the Angels. Yeah, I just don't see the Angels making the playoffs. And they're playing the Dodgers. I don't really see the Dodgers resting all their starters. And the Angels have to beat them 3 times in a row. And the Angels are currently winless against the boys in blue this season. So it's going to take a lot for the Angels to make the playoffs. And I just don't see the Rangers sweeping the Astros or beating the Astros 3 times in a row, considering they're pretty much tanking, which is what the Angels should have been doing, but they still had ambitions of making the playoffs. But now let's go to some keys that would have helped the Angels not be in this situation. So a lot of things could have been prevented in order for the Angels to possibly make the postseason a little bit more easier. First and foremost, they had so many unexpected losses to subpar teams, such as let's start off with the biggest elephant in the room, the Texas Rangers. They lost to the Rangers 6 out of 10 times. They went 4-6 against the Rangers, and of those 6 losses, 5 of them came in Texas. And then the other loss obviously came at Angel Stadium. When you're struggling to beat one of the lowly teams in your division on the road, that just goes to show you that you don't deserve the postseason. And then you also have other losses to other subpar teams, such as the Arizona Diamondbacks, where the Angels lost 2 of 3 earlier in the month when it came to the Angels playing the Diamondbacks, which is obviously disappointing. And then the Angels obviously had a bad stretch which also included them losing 3 of 4 to the San Francisco Giants, which is another disappointment. I mean, in the Angels' defense, the Giants were kind of fighting for a playoff spot, but honestly, they need to take care of teams such as the Giants. The Giants weren't good back then, and they're struggling to get into the playoffs as well. I mean, the National League is far from decided, so the American League is all but decided with the Angels and Astros fighting for that last playoff spot, which the Astros control their own destiny. The Angels need everything to happen for them and more. So, I'm sorry, Angels fans, but it's just going to be another year of Mike Trout wasted. So, that's pretty much going to be the spiel of baseball. The Freeway Series begins tonight. I believe it starts at 6:40, so it is definitely noteworthy. It'll be even more noteworthy if the Angels still stay alive through Sunday. But again, you're asking for a lot when it comes to the Angels. You have to beat the Dodgers twice in a row, and then the Rangers have to beat the Astros twice in a row. I mean, the good thing for the Rangers is that they're playing theoretically on the road, but the Astros aren't really going that far in terms of playing the Rangers because it's basically in Arlington. So, yeah, and Daryl Kinsey Jr. says Mike Trout career wasted at this point. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just disappointing because the Angels just have bad management. They don't have good pitching. Like their management does not focus on pitching. They focus on getting second and third baseman, which is not what they need. They need pitchers, and plenty of it. And their farm system needs to start getting better as well. The problem with the Angels was that they also didn't have a good closer. They didn't have a consistent closer. It used to be Hansel Robles, and then he kind of got demoted because he just wasn't getting the job done, as Ty Buttrey pretty much came in and took his closing position. So, and the bullpen as a whole pretty much struggled as well. So the Angels definitely got to fix that bullpen. The worst part is that the Angels won't be getting a good pitcher. I mean, they'll obviously be getting they'll be in like the first top tier teams when it comes to getting a good pick, considering they finished bad. But unfortunately, they won't be getting somebody like Kumar Rocker from Vanderbilt. Like Vanderbilt has some gem players that pretty much they produce year after year. So unfortunately, they're going to have to wait. Maybe Kumar Rocker will fall through the draft, and then once Rocker is in their laps, they can pounce on him. So, Angels are still alive, but in the playoff hunt, but it's only a 0.3% chance of them making the postseason. So, the Angels are going to need to bring their four-leaf clovers, their horseshoes, their rabbit's foot, and their trash cans if the Astros want to miss the playoffs and they want to make the playoffs. So that's going to pretty much do it. I don't really need to talk about the Padres and the Dodgers. The Dodgers have the best record in the MLB, which is it's no surprise. and they've pretty much clinched home field advantage throughout the rest of the postseason. The problem is that there is no such thing as home field advantage, considering that they won't after the wild card round, all the NLDS and NLCS and the World Series will be played at neutral sites. The NLDS, or the National League Divisional Series, will be played at Arlington, Texas and Houston, Texas, while the American League Divisional Series will be played in San Diego and Los Angeles. And the National League Championship Series will be played in Arlington, Texas, while the American League Championship Series will be played in San Diego. The World Series will be played at Arlington, Texas, which is cool, even though there's not going to be a whole lot of fans. But I do like the Padres' idea of getting a gigantic TV or gigantic TV 2 or 3, and pretty much just projecting to their fans like what's happening, considering fans are not allowed into the stands, and there's no fans allowed inside the stadium because of COVID-19. So I like the idea that the Padres have strung along. This is going to be the Padres' first playoff berth since 2006, so it's been a long time coming for those Padres. So it's good on them, and I think they could be one of the more scary teams in the National League, because currently, when it comes to the National League, the Padres sit behind the Dodgers for the best record, as a team that's right behind them is the Atlanta Braves. The problem for the Padres is that they are the second place team from the National League, so they'll still get a playoff berth. They're obviously going to get a playoff berth, but the problem is that they won't be they will be getting a home game. The problem is that they're pretty much going to be on the Dodgers' path. And definitely got to give a shout to Mr. Davidson Crooks that's in the chat room. Thank you for tuning in. And while Mr. Davidson is in the chat room, we might as well just jump to the NBA. So, NBA action regarding Southern California. The Lakers, they beat the Denver Nuggets last night in an ugly victory. It was I believe it was 114 to 108 was the score yesterday, as they are now 1 win away, 114-108, as the Lakers are 1 win away from making their first NBA Finals since 2010, when they last won it all. Problem is that it's going to be winning the final game is going to be the toughest, because the Nuggets are in that position from the first 2 rounds. They're down 3-1. You saw what they did to the Utah Jazz. You saw what they did to the Los Angeles Clippers, robbing us of that elusive Los Angeles versus Los Angeles Western Conference Final. So the Denver Nuggets are now in the position of they got to win 3 in a row in order to stay alive and make it to the NBA Finals. And Davidson Crooks nailed it on the head. The Nuggets are a scrappy team. Facts, Davidson. Facts. So obviously, Anthony Davis had a big game. LeBron had a big game as well. Rondo was pretty solid too. They also got some good contributions from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Dwight Howard, who started. Kyle Kuzma did great things as well. And that was pretty much it. Poor Anthony Davis, though. Like, the dude got hit in the eye. He rolled his ankle, but he still managed to put up 34 points. He didn't have too many rebounds. Like, that's kind of been the problem with him. He's only had he hasn't been rebounding the ball that well. And shout out to Mr. Marcus Losgreat in the chat room saying, "What up? What up? What up? What up, though?" Hey, great to see you, Marcus. It's always good to have you in the chat room, my brother. Great job on Gloves Off this past Tuesday. He says, "F the Lakers." Yes, I'm hating. The nerve of you, Marcus. The nerve of you. This man, Marcus, is salty that his Celtics are down 3-1. But I will say this, the Celtics are not out of it. Like, I think the Celtics win tonight. And Davidson Crooks says the Lakers will close out this weekend. I agree. I definitely think the Lakers are going to close out the I definitely think the Lakers are going to close out the series. Like, all teams that have had LeBron James on them, whether it's the Lakers, the Cavs, or the Heat, they have never blown a 3-1 lead. So And I totally understand Marcus. It's hard not to hate on the Lakers because Marcus is a Celtics fan. So, but back to the Lakers, I will say it's going to be tough closing out the Nuggets, but I think the Lakers can do it. I think the job is clearly not finished. Dwight Howard said this in his press conference. The job's not finished, and that was some of the more wiser words from the late Kobe Bryant, saying, "What's there to be happy about? Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so." So I definitely think that it's going to be tough to close out the Nuggets, but I think they could do it. Like, I want them to close out because the longer they keep the Nuggets in the series, the more they have to deal with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Although Nikola Jokic has not been existent in the fourth quarter, like, it's kind of been sad considering Jamal Murray's had to step up big time. You also have Michael Porter Jr., Torrey Craig, Jeremy Grant, Monte Morris has chipped in a little. So this Denver Nuggets team is far from done, but I think that I kind of have to agree with Davidson. I think the Lakers can close them out on Saturday. And they need to, because they need all the rest they can get, considering, again, Anthony Davis took such a beating. He's been taking a beating a lot in the playoffs. Like, he's rolled his ankle. Like, every time we see him roll his ankle or he gets hurt, every Lakers fan pretty much stops what they're doing and holds their breath, wondering if he's going to be okay. And for those of you that actually didn't read my article that I wrote for the school newspaper at Long Beach State, definitely do go check it out. I break down all 4 of the teams that are in the conference finals on how they got there, who have been their key players, and how their series is going. So it was actually published on Tuesday, so it's a little dated, but you get the point. Spoiler alert, I actually made an NBA Finals prediction in that story, and I predicted the Lakers and the Heat. I'm sorry, Marcus, but I predicted the Lakers and the Heat. The Lakers are obviously meeting their expectations, and even though there have been a few wrenches thrown in their machine, they're definitely not letting that slow them down, and they're on a mission. Like, LeBron is certainly not getting any younger. Anthony Davis wants another ring. Rajon Rondo is etching his name as a Hall of Famer, and the young dudes like Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Dwight Howard needs a ring as well. Like, Dwight Howard's not getting any younger as well, and he's been a little bit of a journeyman throughout this whole playoffs, searching for that elusive ring after he lost to the Lakers back when he was with the Orlando Magic, and he struck out with the Lakers previously and the Houston Rockets. So you definitely gotta put your money on the Lakers. And they're the last top 2 seeds of either conference. Like, the Clippers got eliminated by the Nuggets in the conference semifinals, and the Bucks and the Raptors got eliminated in the conference semifinals as well. So the Lakers are the last 1/2 seed standing. So that's kind of the reason why I have the Lakers in the NBA Finals. Now, the Heat are an interesting story. Honestly, if they were playing Toronto, I would have picked the Raptors. But I will say this, the Heat have been the biggest surprise of the NBA playoffs. They are a whopping 10-2 in the playoffs. Actually, they're 11-2. I'm sorry. Well, they're 11-2, and they're 1 win away from their first NBA Finals berth since 2014, when they had the big 3 with LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Eric Spoelstra is just an amazing coach, and their young core with Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, James Crowder, they've really done such a great job. I'm not trying to hate on Boston just because I'm a Laker fan, but they can only go as far as their young core goes. I think the Celtics are a good team, and I think they win tonight. However, they can only go as far as some of their players go. So, such as Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker. So I think the Celtics do win tonight, but it's going to be tough for them to climb out of a 3-1 hole. So we'll see how it goes. And Gordon Hayward just came back. Like, he came back for Game 3, and he came back for Game 4 when it came to Wednesday's game. So, But all of the Heat's games have been won by a minuscule margin. But I will say this: the Heat have just definitely impressed me. I think they are definitely the surprise team. And to talk about Gordon Hayward, he actually did play 30 minutes, and he registered 14 points and 7 boards, which isn't bad considering he had himself a little bit of a ankle sprain. And Marcus says we can't beat the zone. Yeah, that zone defense has really hurt them. But again, this is the bubble. This is 2020. Anything can happen. I mean, if the Nuggets did it against the Clippers, maybe, and the Clippers were the heavy favorite to win it all, maybe the Celtics can do it. So it's kind of tough, but I just really think that the Celtics have a nice little uphill climb. But I'm not gonna lose faith in them. I kind of want the Lakers Celtics series, just because it would be cool to see the Lakers beat the Celtics as a Laker fan and tie them in terms of number of championships. But the Celtics have to have a lot go right, and the Lakers face their own little uphill climb. So even though I did pick the Heat, I kind of am somewhat rooting for the Celtics. I picked the Heat in 6, but off the previously, like, on the show, and then I also picked Lakers in 6. So we'll see how it goes. Again, this is the bubble, and to me, I think the Heat are just built to play in the bubble. I think teams like the Bucks and the Raptors and the Pacers and the 76ers and all these other talented teams were just not built for the bubble. And although many people say, well, it's a neutral site, what can be something about the bubble? Well, I think the Heat have adapted well. Maybe because the Heat are the semi-home team, considering they are from Florida, but they're not a part of the bubble area. But maybe it's because of that. Like, you never know. Like, it's just some random food for thought. But they're obviously not going to go from site to site to find a neutral site to make sure that no team has like a state advantage. Again, it's just some food for thought on my part. So anyway, the Lakers play the Nuggets tomorrow. I expect the Lakers to be ready to go, because if they can't, then it gets tougher from here on out, because it builds up more pressure, and then eventually it's kind of like a balloon, where if that balloon gets too much air, then it's going to burst, and that balloon would basically represent the Lakers' playoff chances. So I think the Lakers can close it out. The Heat, to me, I think will have a little bit more of a tougher time, just because the Celtics are scrappy and they're like cockroaches. You just can't get rid of them that easily. So tonight I'm picking the Celtics to win, just because I don't want to see the Celtics lose just yet. But it's only a matter of time before the Heat break down that door. So that's just my little spiel. That's just my little spiel on the NBA, and I'm kind of happy that the Lakers are up 3-1. It's good and bad, just because the Nuggets are in that position where they're down 3-1, and they can possibly reel off 3 in a row and beat the Lakers. But to me, I think the Lakers are not the Utah Jazz, and they're certainly not the Clippers. The Lakers have veteran experience, height, and they adapt well to their opponents, which has kind of been the difference. Like, you saw what happened in Game 1 against the Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers just ran away with it at the end, and the Lakers looked dumbfounded. But then the Lakers reeled off 4 in a row. Same thing happened with the Rockets. Like, Russell Westbrook was flexing his muscles, mean mugging, and eventually the Lakers lost that Game 1 and then reeled off 4 in a row. The Nuggets series is a little bit more different, however, considering that the Lakers won the first 2 games. And I will be honest, the Lakers should be fortunate to be up 3-1 and not be tied 2-2, considering that 3 was basically a wing on a prayer. Like, without that 3, this series is 2-2, and I kind of agree with Jamal Murray, but I kind of don't, just because Anthony Davis is that big-time player, and big-time players do big-time things when it comes to big-time situations. And he was big-time, and that's cool. And, yeah, it would have been cool to see LeBron take that shot, but I don't know why he didn't take that shot. But it's good to see Anthony Davis step up despite him lacking in the rebounding department. So, but I can't complain. Lakers are up 3-1, and they have a chance to close out the Denver Nuggets. And if they do, then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Heat and Celtics. Like, when that happens, then it'll happen. So, yeah. So I think that's going to wrap it up for the NBA portion of my show. I'm actually going to take ourselves a quick little break. When I get back, I will be talking some LA Rams and LA Chargers football, and I'm going to be talking some other football, such as the LA Galaxy and LAFC. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Lay down music,
Hey, what's up, BS3 sports fans? If you love listening to the BS3 Sports Show, check out the weekend wrap-up every Monday at 12:15 Central Time, 1:15 Eastern, recapping the weekend in sports like you never heard it before. Comedy, interactive chat room, it's a must-listen. Weekend wrap-up on Spreaker.com. Part of the X Squad. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Drivers, start your engines. Auto racing takes many forms, from the close quarter contact of NASCAR
to the high-speed, high-risk atmosphere of IndyCar,
all the way to the pinnacle of technology with the Formula One World Championship.
No matter if you prefer the high banks of Daytona,
the concrete canyons of Long Beach,
or the flowing curves of the Nürburgring.
The international language of motorsports is simple. Go fast,
run hard,
and come home first.
So join us, myself, Darrell Kinsey Jr.,
Lolita Camello,
and Michael Ward,
on a world tour of all the best motorsports has to offer on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, only on your home for all. That is sports. IE Sports Radio.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez, your host. You can catch all of those shows, being The Defining Moment and The Extra Mile, here on iSports Radio. The Extra Mile is a weekly show that, like I said, airs on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The Defining Moment will go live every so often, whenever it gets the chance. So, yeah, you can catch all the other shows on different platforms such as Spreaker, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, you name it. So now let's get on to our NFL segment, being the Chargers and the Rams. Oh boy. So the Chargers have had such a weird and interesting week. So let's start with last weekend where they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs was one thing, but they lost in overtime by 3. So for the majority of the game, the Chargers were dominating. Like, their defense was dominating, and their offense was led by Justin Herbert. Wait. Justin Herbert? Yes, I said it best. The Chargers were led by Justin Herbert at quarterback. So, the reason why Tyrod Taylor couldn't start was because he had a punctured lung, was because he had chest pain. And everyone was saying that he hurt his chest in warm-ups. And it's like, oh my God, that's the most Charger thing for them to happen. The most Charger thing for that to happen to him. So, but then it turned out later on in the week, it was discovered that he was having pain in his ribs and all that. And the Chargers team doctor accidentally punctured Teran Taylor in his lung with painkillers, and he couldn't start. Like, he had to be taken to the hospital, and I'm glad he's okay now. So that's just crazy. Like, the Chargers couldn't be more of a sideshow than anything. They're just a freaking circus, and everyone is pretty much their spectators. So anyway, onward to the Chiefs and Chargers game. The Chargers struck first with a rushing touchdown from Justin Herbert, and then the Chiefs scored a touchdown and then missed their extra point, and then Justin Herbert threw a touchdown to A.J. Guyton, and then it was 14-6 eventually at halftime. And then it was 17-9 after 3 quarters, and everyone's thinking, the Chiefs might be losing this week. Nah. You know who the Chiefs have? They have this one talented quarterback named Patrick Mahomes. And this dude, I forget how many yards this touchdown was for, but he threw it was definitely more than 50 yards. So it was a 55, maybe 60-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, a guy who the Chargers had actually kept in check for the most part. But that long touchdown pass was definitely what kind of swayed the momentum. And then Mahomes completed a 2-point conversion to Mecole Hardman, and then it was 17-17. The Chargers, however, being the smart team that they are, may put together a long drive, and they even got down to the goal line because of some costly penalties from the Chiefs. However, the Chargers obviously came away with 3 instead of 6. That's been the problem with the Chargers this season. They've been going for 3 instead of going for 6. Now, it wasn't all their fault, but still, there were a few misplays, which I'll be getting into after the little breakdown of the game. But the Chargers, on their final offensive drive of the fourth quarter, settled for 3. They did shave a lot of time off the clock, but they left just enough time for Patrick Mahomes to march down the field. Eventually, the Chiefs had themselves they got in field goal range, but then a holding penalty forced the Chiefs back, and eventually the Chiefs faced a 3rd and 20 with less than a minute to go, and then Mahomes, being the smart man, ran the ball for the first down, and it was so frustrating, man. I couldn't believe that the Chargers allowed Mahomes to run for that first down. If he had thrown it, it would have been a little less bad, but to run for that first down, doggone it, man. And then eventually, just to speed things along, the Chiefs kicked the go-ahead field goal, sent it to overtime, and then I'm hoping the Chargers win the coin toss. And they do, and obviously they take the ball first, and they don't get the first down. They eventually have to punt, but they faced a 4th and 1, which I very really question why Anthony Lynn did not go for it on 4th down. It was 4th and 1, and they actually completed a 4th down earlier in the game. So I just don't know why Anthony Lynn didn't go to Austin Eckler or Josh Kelly or just have Herbert run the ball, because Herbert's a mobile quarterback. It's not like he has Phillip Rivers anymore. So I didn't like how the Chargers didn't go for it on 4th down, and eventually Mahomes marched him down the field, got him in field goal range, and Harrison Butker kicked a 58-yard field goal. He actually kicked 2 more previously. One was actually supposed to be a 53-yarder because the Chiefs actually got called for a offsides penalty or a false start penalty, which basically backed him up 5 more yards. And then Anthony Lynn tried to ice the kicker, which was a smart decision, but this is Harrison Butker. His leg comes from the future. Like, that dude had his Wheaties, and eventually the Chargers lost, which I was very frustrated. Of course the Chargers would lose in that type of fashion, leading the most of the way, and then they lose off of a field goal. Granted, that kick, Harrison Butker is one of the best kickers in the NFL, but I'm just disappointed. Like, it would have been great to have Justin Herbert register a big-time victory, and for the Chargers to register an early statement victory. So I'm disappointed, but I am impressed. But the problem with me is that I don't like moral victories. I am not a fan of moral victories. Like honestly, it's not like I hate moral victories, but I like wins. I don't like moral victories. I don't like, they did this correctly, but at least the Chargers they have found their quarterback for the future. Like, they definitely hung tough with the Chiefs, which I definitely have to give credit to the Chargers defense, led by Joey Bosa. He was making it tough. He finally got a sack on Patrick Mahomes, and all the other pass rushers such as Jerry Tillery and Melvin Ingram, they really did well. And it would have been great to see an interception from Mahomes, from like players like Desmond King, Casey Hayward, Chris Harris, but then there was actually an interception from Mahomes. The problem is that one of the Chargers players jumped off sides, which is like, ugh. So that was one of the reasons. That wasn't a big reason why the Chargers lost, but it just would have been helpful for the Chargers. It's kind of like how one of the Chiefs players jumped off sides in the AFC Championship game back in 2019, in the 2019 AFC Championship game, so against the Patriots, which would have been the game right there, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. So anyway, now as for Justin Herbert, he was great for the most part. There were a few flaws in his game. First and foremost, he was running for the first down, and I get what he was trying to do, but here's the problem. He threw an interception, but he had the option of going for the first down, running for the first down, and then eventually keeping the drive alive. But he then ran and then tried to hit Keenan Allen with a tough pass, and then he got picked off, which that was a rookie mistake right there. I think without that mistake, the Chargers pretty much can put together another good drive, and that pretty much pressurizes the Chiefs to have them. It basically gave the Chiefs momentum going forward. So that was a very costly mistake on Herbert's part. But again, it's a rookie mistake. Another mistake that Justin Herbert made was that he was trying to avoid getting sacked, and he held on to the ball, but eventually he got sacked. I think he got sacked by Teran Rodriguez. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's the Honey Badger. And he got sacked for 14 yards, and that's another rookie mistake right there. Like, you never want to take a sack for 14 yards. You just got to get rid of that ball ASAP. Like, I guess a sack would be better than an interception. And in Herbert's defense, he was able to get the first down eventually, hitting Hunter Henry and Keenan Allen for great passes. So, and another mistake that that Herbert had, which was definitely costly in the final quarter on the Chargers' last drive when they reached the goal line, was he faked it to Keenan Allen, not Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. However, he wasn't trying to fake it. He was actually trying to give Austin Eckler the ball. Instead, he went to his right when Eckler was on his left. So Herbert had the ball, and he couldn't do anything with it. So, yeah, it was tough. But he eventually is going to work off some kinks. Like, he's going to get better as time progresses. And he actually did get an honor this week. He was named the Pepsi Rookie of the Week, which was very impressive. So let's give him a round of applause real quick. So yeah, that was definitely a great honor for him. Glad to see Chargers fans and everyone who voted for Herbert have their votes not go in vain. It was either going to be between him or Jonathan Taylor, which nothing against Jonathan Taylor or Joe Burrow, but to go toe-to-toe with the defending champs. And keep in mind that Justin Herbert didn't even know he was going to be starting, so he only found out seconds before he got the start. So the fact that he rose to the occasion was big time, and and I will say this: he is going to get better as time progresses. So, as for the Chargers themselves, they have another game. Obviously they have another game. Their next game is Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers have had the worst luck. They are 0-2. Teddy Bridgewater hasn't been too bad, but they lost their main weapon last week in Christian McCaffrey. Now that dude is a baller, and that is a huge loss for the Panthers. So I expect the Chargers to win, but I hope they don't have another dramatic game. I definitely see the Chargers winning, especially since Justin Herbert's going to be starting. And since he has a start under his belt already, I definitely think he'll be able to take down the Panthers defense. Because the Panthers defense is pretty young. And although the Chargers don't have the greatest offensive line, it means that Herbert can be more mobile. Like, the Panthers defense is young and inexperienced, and I think they're beaten up too. I think their first rounder, Yatur Matur Gross or something like that, something along that name is hurt as well. As for Chargers in terms of injuries, Justin Jones is out for the Chargers against Carolina, while Melvin Ingram and Nick Vigil are both doubtful, which that's really tough. Like, Melvin Ingram being out and Nick Vigil being out would be a huge loss. Being doubtful as well. And then the Chargers have had a lot of plethora of injuries, and it's just many injuries in terms of the NFL. Like, you look at the Chargers injury report, they have Asmir Bilal, who is out. He's a linebacker. Joey Bosa had a full practice despite his triceps hurting. Brian Bulaga is questionable with a knee. He had a full practice today. Hunter Henry had hurt his ankle, but he had a full practice on Thursday and Friday. Melvin Ingram had a full practice on Wednesday and Thursday, but he did not practice on Friday because of his knee, and he is doubtful. He did hurt his knee in the game against the Chiefs, but he was able to play through it. Justin Jackson has a quadricep injury, and he's doubtful. Rayshawn Jenkins, the safety, has a groin injury, limited practice all this week, and he's questionable. Justin Jones, as we said, is out. Desmond King had a back injury, but he practiced full on Thursday and Friday, and he is not on the questionable list. Teran Taylor is obviously out. Try Turner had a full practice on Wednesday and Thursday, but he did not practice on Friday, and he is also questionable with a groin injury. And then, like I said, Nick Vigil is doubtful with a groin injury, as well as he did not practice on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It would suck to see Try Turner miss playing against his old team. So I hope the Chargers can get it together, because it seems like they can never escape the injury bug, which really sucks, because all these other teams getting injured doesn't make matters better. And the Chargers still being banged up really hurts them as well. So the Chargers kind of need this game. Like, the Chargers need to win on Sunday. This is kind of a must-win, because if they don't win this weekend, I don't see them winning the weekend after. Because after they play the Panthers, they play at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We obviously know how their luck with Tom Brady goes, considering they run zone defense, which Tom Brady eats that up for breakfast. And then they play on Monday Night Football against the Saints. Now, the Saints did have themselves a bad game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Got to get used to that, not saying Oakland. But I think that just goes to show you that the Raiders were more disciplined, while the Saints just looked they lacked discipline, and not having Michael Thomas and Marcus Davenport really didn't help them. So I think that the Chargers may have a shot against the Saints, but honestly, they got to get through the Panthers, because after the Panthers, they have a big 2-game swing against the Bucs and the Saints, and both of those are going to be on the road. That's the worst part, because the Chargers obviously struggle with playing at home, but they don't struggle at playing at home. Well, not this year, but they struggled immensely. They've struggled their past 2 games. Even in their win against the Bengals, they looked nasty. So they look disappointing, and hopefully they can get it together, because I think the Chargers have been showing good potential. It's just that they're going to need to kick it into overdrive, because their division is so deep. Even the Broncos at 0-2 are licking their wounds, considering they've lost a lot of key players. Like, they lost Drew Lock for like 4 to 6 weeks, I believe, with a shoulder injury or elbow injury. They lost Cortland Sutton for the whole year. They lost Von Miller for the whole year. So honestly, and the Raiders are obviously not the team that everyone thought they were. And then the Chiefs are who we thought they were. And those two have a tough matchup, as well as the Broncos. So of the 4 AFC West teams, I think the Chargers have the easiest win, considering the Broncos play Tampa Bay, and they're choosing between Blake Bortles or Eskel, I want to say his name was. I'm blanking on his name, but I think it was something Eskel. So either way, Jeff Driscoll, not Eskel. But the Broncos did just sign former LA Ram backup quarterback Blake Bortles. So I expect the Chargers to get the win this Sunday. Like, I picked them to win, so don't disappoint me, Chargers, because it only gets tougher from here on out if you're the Chargers, because even the Panthers are pretty good. Like, even though the Chargers are favorited, the Chargers are licking their wounds as well as the Panthers. So I just hope that the Chargers can get out of their place with a win, and maybe practice at Tampa Bay, because unlike when they didn't practice at Gillette Stadium in the AFC divisional game a couple of years ago, I hope they can get that experience of playing and that feel for playing at Tampa Bay. So they just got to take it one at a time. But after their little Monday Night Football game, they do have a little bit of a lighter schedule going forward, as they play the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars. All those teams haven't been too impressive. The Jets have been a jet that has been lit on fire. The Dolphins got their first win, but it was against the Jags. And then the Jaguars are the Jaguars. So So if they can at least get one win, maybe two in this AF or NFC South stretch, the Chargers could be fine going forward, so long as they don't botch anything in their games against against the Jets, Dolphins, and Jaguars. So that's my little spiel on the Chargers. Now let's head over to the Rams. The Rams, they moved to 2-0 with an impressive victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe it was a 39 to 18 win over 37 to 19 win over the Eagles. It was a great road win too. And quick and dirty, the Rams drew first blood because the Eagles fumbled the ball. And then Jared Goff looked so good. He looked like the Jared Goff from 2018-2019 that led the Rams to the Super Bowl. He was hitting Tyler Higbee, Robert Woods, and even Van Jefferson, the rookie. And eventually the Rams were up 21-3 on the Eagles, and then the Eagles kept chipping away at the lead, and I believe they only went into halftime down 21-16, and they eventually got the ball in Rams territory, but then the Rams picked off Carson Wentz, and then Carson Wentz got booed because of a sound effect, which was funny, but not really, not to Carson Wentz. And then eventually actually it wasn't 21-16. It was 20. Yeah, it was 21-16. Yeah, I'm doing my math wrong. So anyway, after that interception from Carson Wentz, it basically went downhill from there because the Rams defense stepped up and the Eagles defense bent and broke. Granted, a couple of the Rams' scores were because Tyler Cox, I want to say, or was out for a couple of those scores, but honestly, the Eagles have to have that next mentality. Fletcher Cox was out for a couple of those series, so honestly, it definitely hurt the Eagles, and the Rams took advantage. And to me, I think the Eagles are not who everyone thinks they are. I think they're worse to me because the Eagles have been disappointing with how Carson Wentz has been playing, and obviously injuries have been piling up for them with players like Alshon Jeffrey being hurt. Fletcher Cox was hurt for a little while in the Rams game, but honestly, I think this Eagles team has been disappointing for the most part, so I think that the Rams winning was more so them being more talented than everyone thinks they are. And I'm going to just tell everyone this, everyone that doubted the Rams, especially to one person that I know, saying that the Rams are just not good or the Rams defense isn't good. Well, you also got to remember, the Rams have one of the best defensive ends I am blanking on his name, but I'm blanking on his name, but they do have an underrated defense. I think the Rams have a great defense led by Jalen Ramsey and Jordan Fuller, and more importantly, they are led by Aaron Donald. That's his name. How did I not remember that? And Aaron Donald has just been amazing for them. Great pass rusher, and I think the Rams defense is underrated. They do get a big test this Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are also 2-0. However, the Bills' wins were against the Dolphins and the Jets. A combined 1-4 on the season. So, to me, I think this is a big test for the Rams. They're definitely going to need to do a lot in order to slow down Josh Allen. But to me, I think they have what it takes. I think they can do it, but I kind of see the Bills squeaking out a win. I'm not trying to hate on the Rams, but I just think that that playing at Buffalo, back-to-back East Coast trips are going to be tough. I do expect the Rams to lose. I don't expect the Rams to lose by much. I'd say they lose 28-24. And then Josh Allen goes for 300-plus yards again. 300 plus throwing yards, obviously. So I think the Buffalo Bills are definitely one of the more improved teams, and I think they can win the AFC East. But I have the Patriots win the AFC East, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I think that's going to be it for my little spiel on the NFL. Now let's close up some action with some soccer time, being some Major League Soccer. But first, I actually want to get this out there. I definitely want to re-welcome the Soccer Scoreboard Show, as they just got themselves a new host in terms of being brought back, and they also have and like I said, they have a new host. It's Andrew Hagenbaugh, who is a Cleveland Browns fan, who was actually recently featured on 3 and Out's Primetime Face-Off. So definitely do check out the Soccer Scoreboard Show. He'll probably do a better job of talking more soccer than I do. I mean, I like some soccer, but he's probably a soccer expert. So hopefully he and I can talk some LAFC and LA Galaxy, which is what we're going to be getting into now. So LA Galaxy, LAFC action. So LAFC just blew their opponent out of the water. They blew Vancouver out of the water, beating them 6-0. I believe winning by 6 goals is the biggest margin for LAFC in their little tenure. So they really set the bar, and I think LAFC is back to trending upward, as opposed to their other Los Angeles counterpart being the LA Galaxy, which lost 2-0 to Real Salt Lake, which was definitely a disappointment. I think the Galaxy are starting to trend downward as they face Seattle on Sunday, and as for our friends at the Los Angeles Football Club, their next game, then they're actually in Phase 3. I think tomorrow, their Sunday is the last game of Phase 2 play, and then Phase 3 begins in October, which at least the MLS is progressing without it getting shut down. So LAFC closed out the September games with a game on Sunday against San Jose at 7:30 p.m. So that's I kind of expect LAFC to win that game. As for the conferences, LAFC checks in at number 6 in the Western Conference at 5-3-5, while the LA Galaxy have taken a big dip as they are now 4-3-5, 4 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses, while LAFC has 5 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. So it's good to see LAFC getting back on track, but the Galaxy are trending downward, and they're facing the best team in the Western Conference in Seattle, and then LAFC is facing the bottom team of the Western Conference. So there's still plenty of time. You look at LAFC's remaining schedule in October. Next Sunday they play Salt Lake. Wednesday, October 7th, they play Colorado. Sunday, October 11th, they play Seattle at Seattle. Wednesday, October 14th, they play Vancouver at home. Sunday, October 18th, they play Portland at home. Now this is the surprise one. Sunday, October 25th, LAFC plays LA Galaxy in El Tráfico. Okay, it's not that scary, but LAFC and the LA Galaxy play each other in El Tráfico on Sunday, October 25th at 1:30 p.m. on ABC, which is quite the surprise. I don't know if there's not going to be any NBA playoff games that day or whatnot, but either way, that's cool. And then LAFC plays Houston on Wednesday, October 28th. And then closing out the November games, they have another game against San Jose on Sunday, October 1st, or September. Yeah, Sunday, November 1st. And then 1 week after that, LAFC plays at Portland on Sunday, November 8th. So that's pretty much how their schedule is panned out. Now let's roll over to the LA Galaxy's remaining schedule, as after they play Seattle this Sunday, they play San Jose on Saturday, October 3rd, which I expect the Galaxy to actually win that game. They got to beat San Jose, because if you're not scoring on San Jose, your team has a problem offensively. And then after their game against San Jose, they play Wednesday, October 7th against Portland. Then the Galaxy play Saturday, October 10th against Colorado. And then once again, the Galaxy play at San Jose on Wednesday, October 14th. And then Sunday, the Galaxy play Vancouver on Sunday, October 18th. And then Sunday, October 25th is El Tráfico. And then Wednesday, October 28th, the Galaxy play Portland. And then Sunday, November 1st, the Galaxy play at Salt Lake. And then closing out the November games, the Galaxy play Vancouver in Los Angeles on Sunday, November 8th. So that's pretty much going to be the quick little rundown of the LA Galaxy and LAFC. I think the Galaxy can still turn it around, and I expect the LAFC to continue their hot streak. I hope they get Carlos Vela back, because with Carlos Vela, LAFC is just much more dangerous. Obviously, Diego Rossi is a one-man band man, but that team at full strength is even more dangerous. So we'll see how it goes, because they have some good players like Bradley Wright Phillips, Carlos Vela when he's healthy, Diego Rossi, Latif Blessing is good at midfield, and the list goes on and on. So that's pretty much my little spiel for the MLS, and that's pretty much going to do it for the whole SoCal Supreme Sports Show. As I said, there is no hockey teams from Southern California that's playing. Sorry, Ducks, and sorry, Kings. And the Sparks got eliminated, which was sad. But better luck next year, Sparks. Let's get a little bit of a quick update on the Astros Rangers. Astros are trailing the Rangers 1-0 in the bottom of the fourth. So, like I said, the Rangers need to. The Texas Rangers need to win out the remaining games, and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim need to win out their games as well. And just as soon as I talk about the Texas Rangers, Ben Suttereth III enters the chat room. What's up, Ben? Hey, I'm rooting for your Texas Rangers to beat the Astros the next 3 days, because if they do and the Angels sweep the Dodgers in the Freeway Series, the Angels go to the playoffs. So us Angels fans are now rooting for the Texas Rangers. So, but the Angels still have to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, yeah. And Ben says, I'm so disappointed in the Rangers this year. Yeah, it was a tough little season for the poor Texas Rangers, because they looked pretty good. Like they actually got close to the Houston Astros, but unfortunately they tumbled down, and they're pretty much, I think they are the worst team in the American League, which is that's even tough, but the good thing for the Rangers is that they're tanking well. So yes, I had to go there. Unfortunately. So, but they will be getting a good pick in Kumar Rocker. The only problem with the Rangers is that they're not out-tanking the Pittsburgh Pirates. So that does suck, but it is what it is. So if I can get the overall standings to load, because this whole thing has gone Cali-wampus. Yeah, the Texas Rangers they're actually close to having the worst record with the Pittsburgh Pirates. But again, us Angels fans want to see Mike Trout in the postseason. So come on, Texas, abandon your tanking ways and actually win. Because if you don't, I will be disappointed, and Angels fans will be disappointed, and that's kind of an understatement, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah. Yes, I would be but it's going to be tough for a team that's tanking to take down a team with postseason ambitions. So we'll see, though. we'll see. But I still have a little faith in the Angels, but I just don't think the Angels make the playoffs. So, well, on that note, I think that's going to end this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for tuning in. Unfortunately, I didn't have my brother on this week, but he is working hard. Yes, he is working hard, not hardly working. And I don't know what's going to happen next week with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We might go live, or I might go live next week, but it's to be determined because my brother and I might have something we might be doing later on next Friday. So we may have to push it back to Thursday. Like, we'll see. Like, next week is also a big week for me because it's the 1-year anniversary of Set Point. Like, Set Point's 1-year anniversary is on September the 30th. That's when Set Point had its first ever episode. And I was such a noob back then. I don't know if I'm going to be having Set Point on September 30th on Wednesday. But we'll see. It all depends on what the schedules look like and what my schedule looks like because I have class that day and I need to know if 3 and Out will be going live that day because we didn't get 3 and Out. But that's okay. Like, the world's not going to end even though we have ourselves a pandemic going on. So I think that is officially going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you to Ben for joining me in the chat room. Thank you to Daryl Kinsey Jr., Marcus Los Great, Davidson Crooks for joining me in the chat room. Thank you for everyone that's listening on different platforms. Thank you to those that are listening on the replay. If you are listening on the replay, I definitely appreciate it. And you can check out all of iSports Radio's shows on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TuneIn, you name it. And definitely do support iSports Radio and buy some iSports Radio merchandise. It's not that we need it, but COVID has hit us hard, but we're not in dying need of it. But we do theoretically need it to survive because COVID has hit us hard, and it's hit all of these small businesses hard. So if you can, definitely do try to buy some iSports Radio merchandise. The holidays are just around the corner, by the way, so definitely do purchase some iSports Radio merchandise. And winter's almost here as well, so we have sweaters, tank tops, caps that are bill curved, and caps that are non-bill curved. And then we also have iSports Radio t-shirts in so many colors, such as white, black, pink, blue, red. Unfortunately, we don't have rainbow, but if you're picking rainbow, then are we even friends? I don't know. So maybe. And on that Kawhi Leonard laugh, it is time to get on out of here because it's not really past my dinner time, but it's about to be my dinner time. So let's get on out of here. Thank you all for tuning into the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Next week's show is up in the air considering there might be stuff going on with me, but we'll see. So without any further delay, this is your host, Teran Rodriguez, and for everyone else at iSports Radio, have a great rest of the night. See you all next week. Remember, possibly, but do remember, SoCal is the SoCal. Good night, everybody.
Audio Jungle.